Are you tired of seeing the same characters in every single matchup? Do you want to have a different character besides Blade and Blade and Blade and Blade? Perhaps you want something a little bit more challenging and engaging. Well, don't worry, nephews and nieces. Big Unk Chaos got you. And I'm going to give you all a breakdown on Magik, one of the most fun characters to play in all of Marvel Zombies. If you enjoy this type of content, be sure to let me know in the comment section because I love doing these videos. I've got Punisher, I've got Jeff. Those are gonna be the last two I've got left, and I can't wait to do them. We get this video to 50 likes, and I'll drop it tomorrow. Without further ado, let's get started. Now, the very first thing I wanna do is describe exactly what type of character Magik is. Magik is not gonna be the person to deal with all of the elites. Turns out the people who can get the headshots and focus fire on them, such as Thor and of course Punisher, and obviously Blade, who can just break through anything, are gonna have the best chances of dealing with those guys with the least amount of risk. That said, Magik is amazing at clearing out ads and has a good versatility when it comes to fighting bosses, specifically with the way that she attacks in huge AoE bursts. With that being said, I want to talk about the compositions you can have with Magik that I think are going to be most successful. I genuinely believe that if you have two blades, you can just about clear any boss mode, provided that people are playing it above room IQ level, room temperature IQ level. I think everyone's gonna have a decent time clearing it. I think Blade is busted and his lifesteal adds on as an additional area of effect. That said, if you want to have an easier time than not, throw a Punisher or Thor on there as well. They're going to do a great job of taking out those elites with focus fire and excessive pressure. This means you're going to have less to have to deal with as a Magik main. You can focus more on the add-ons, the poison guys, rather than focusing too heavily on the big dudes who are typically going to one-shot you without difficulty. You're also able to utilize her effigy to create a little bit of a distraction. So personally, I'm going to get more into her movesets, but I think Magik might be one of the few characters whose movesets you can actually utilize in the game, more so than some of the other characters. Let's get straight into a breakdown on the best Khonshu's blessings in all the categories for her, as well as the most optimal build for success. Now, I know this is going to surprise a lot of you, but I do not believe that Magik is better off in her baseline form, believe it or not. I think Magik's going to do better off in the red category, increasing her overall damage from her primary. As with most things, this is going to be her primary way of dealing damage to both ads, elites, bosses, etc. This will also be the way that she's able to mitigate some damage through some Khonshu's blessings we'll go over. Now, for Magik's abilities, these actually do matter just a slight bit. Her demonic will is going to be what's going to constantly prevent her, the mortal will is going to prevent her from going into her awakened state, her ultimate form. This means she's going to get a boost to health and damage instead of that, which is substantially felt within the game. I tried doing it, the variation with spin to win Magik. I also have a build working on that. If you guys are interested, let me know in the comment section, I can tell you about it. But another move that's going to be great for her is going to be the Dark Dashes, bringing in the enemies, grabbing them, and colliding them upwards. It's just a little bit of a crowd control. Think of it like Thor's ultimate. It's not going to be something that deals damage. It's mainly going to be used as a good keep away tool to get away from the enemies. You launch them up in the air, you're able to get some zone. I gotta point out that Magik is super thick. If you guys think Magik is thick, drop a like. I'm sorry, I gotta point that out real quick. Lastly, her demonic barrier, giving the limbo demons a little bit of extra health. That is going to make more of a difference than you might think it would initially. This is going to form as a distraction, helping both her teammates in certain tight corners. You dash that out, you launch out the demon, you dash ahead of them, then you're able to get away, make some distance, and live for that 3 to 4 seconds you need. And just like with every character, the more you level up each of these abilities, each of these traits, you're gonna get additional effects. Since I've got her damage from Soul Sword in human form, including the demonic Soul Sword, up to 96, up to 10, she gets a 96% damage per swing, as well as a 243 health boost. All of these things are additive, so these add up more than you guys think. Please, please don't skip out on them. I know you think you can handle it without health. So many people have said that. You just can't. That's a silly thing. You need health. And another thing I'll talk about. Now, Magik's probably the character that people talk about, the least when it comes to setups. I know some people say the best strategy is to get the 10s and the 5s as far as percentage value, since, of course, the damage from this, if you were to take that versus the damage here, add them up, you'd only get 60% here versus, the difference of 25% additionally. I get that. That said, one of the most important things for Magik is going to be her attack speed. I would very much, at least early on the matches, try to get those additional ones, the 15% for her attack speed at least, and the range. Because you're going to be able to attack without being close. Part of the reason that Spin to Win Magik was so successful for people was the fact that it prevented you from fighting the enemies. This way gives you the same benefits. However, you also get additional movesets from Phantom Edge at 20, 60, and 120 of these red categories. So there's moves on here. They're called the Soul Marks. What that essentially will mean is you'll be getting additional damage buffs once you hit that 120, aka the third tier. The demonic soul sword can detonate soul marks for area damage, reduce all ability cooldowns. This means you're going to be jumping all over the place for free, living your best life. Very similar to spin to win magic, but a lot more control, a lot less, I guess, variance, and you get more health out of it. So I do think it's worth it. Couple other things I probably avoid. Honestly, I can't really think of anything. Initially get the speed and the range whenever you see them. Up to like I'd say at least round 5. Get them every chance you get. It'll make a huge difference in the long run. Now for purple items, I'm not gonna lie, or I guess the general blessings. Of course, there's the basic ones. You want max health. You want, max health wherever you can get it. You still don't want 35% damage though. You just don't. And to be very clear, I don't know why people are saying this, but you definitely need minus damage received. You need damage reduction through crazy. Magik has a little bit of that built in on some of her movesets here, if you guys have noticed here. Damage reduction, 6%. Yeah, you need those. It adds up, and she is not Blade. She's not Thor. She's not Punisher. She does not have as much health as anyone. I think she has the least amount of health for the roster. I also like to include, maybe 1 or 2 of the Zeus's Thunder Primordial Force. And of course, the most important thing for her is going to be Vampiric Vitality. This makes her essentially kind of like Blade. You're not going to be able to stack up health as much with Magik as you could with some of the other characters. However, you can mitigate that by dealing a bunch of damage and constantly getting it back. That's why I said earlier it's important to get her speed-based attacks early on so you don't buy them later, and that way she's constantly utilizing that to get her health back. If you're doing like 10,000 damage in a second, and you only have 7,000 health, well, guess what? You basically are immortal at that point. So that's just something worth considering. Now, let's get back into the rest of the video. So far, I've told you everything you need to know about building Magik. I taught you everything you need to know about team compositions. I've even given you a breakdown on the benefits of short-term versus long-term investment in the character. Now, how exactly do you play Magik, and how are you successful with her? Well, I like to think of it this way. If you can hit the enemies from the middle point of the map, and you can hit them basically from where you are standing in the center of the map at the start of every round to the A. If you can hit anyone from there or hit that A, you got great AoE. That's probably the point where you're gonna call your range and realize, hey, I don't need any more. After you've done that, I would highly recommend investing the rest of your points into damage and attack speed. Here's why. Attack speed means more damage. The faster you attack, the more damage you do. It's just basic math. And damage is more damage. Now, I'll continuously say that those purple damage upgrades aren't good, but 1 Primordial Foss, 1 Zeus Thunder, they can make a huge difference. Those are based off of percent chance with damage, which means you don't have to worry about them happening for killing enemies. It even makes them kind of good for bosses. Granted, I'm sure the crowd control element of them freezing or being stunned doesn't apply, but you don't really need them. Overall, Magik is a good character. She's not Blade. She's definitely not as powerful as some of the other characters we have in the game. But I do think she's got a nice, a good 4th place medal on her neck. I think that she's got a great build that's really fun and engaging. And unlike most people, you actually use all of her kit. At least I think you can. You're never going to finish the game with the most damage, probably, and unless your blades are terrible, if there's a blade in there. But you can certainly finish it with a respectable amount of kills and a low amount of deaths. Not that deaths matter too much in the game, but I know some of you are perfectionists. So with that being said, if I had any other recommendations with Magik, play with a buddy. Get somebody who's range. You don't want to be caught up in the front. Heck, even a Jeff can have value for you. Speaking of which, I'm planning on either doing Punisher or Jeff next, or doing different variations of characters such as Storm Surge Thor, Magik in her demon form, I guess maybe Blade in his moon form. I think that'd be terrible. But I'm interested to see what you guys think of it. Be sure to let in the comment section what you're looking forward to the most, and I'll drop it in that order. Thank you all so much for watching, and be sure to check out the next video YouTube's recommending. I think you'll enjoy it. And of course, so do I.